Hello again. I am here a little bit to start our second half of talking about a few more commands to use in the Linux command line. In the previous video that we talked a little bit about just some command lines that you can use within the Linux terminal. And now I'm going to discuss a few more that you might find useful. So to begin, let's start with where we are right now in terms of our present working directory. So as we're using the terminal, we're in different areas of the terminal, different areas of the file system, and we want to know at this point where we reside. So in order to do that, we type in pwd, present working directory. And that tells me right now that I am in home, RHA, Aaron and Check. That is my home folder. That is my base, the place where I currently reside at right now. So right now at this point, I'm also going to, let's say I want to do something called change directory. I want to move myself to a different area. That is called the command cd. So I'm going to change the directory to, let's say I want to go, let's see, first let's use the command that we used last time that we were here. Let's see what kind of folders are in here. Okay, ls. Wow, that shows us all the different directories we have in here, all the different folders in this area. So let's start with, let's see, let's make a folder to go, oh, there's a folder right here, source. Let's go into source. So in order to change directories from a different place, we use this command cd, and let's go to source. Oh, it's not a directory. That means it's a file. What we need to do is actually move into a directory. So I'm going to make a directory real quick with this new command here called make directory. So I'm going to first type in mkdir, make directory, and make a new directory where I'm at. It's going to be called sauce. Great. Now, in my home folder where I currently reside, see, pwd, present working directory, I'm still in my home folder. Let's go to sauce. So I'm going to cd sauce. Change my directory from where I am here into sauce. And look, I am now in sauce. That is the place where I currently reside. Let's say I want to get back out of sauce and move back into my home folder. There is a command for that. It is 2 dots and a slash. That means going back one place. Now, oops. See, what I should have done is change directory // After doing that, then once I change that, see it says this is a directory, back is a directory, but I first need to put in the input for changing the directory to back. So now I'm back in my home folder. There's a lot of different commands that you can use from this point. Let's say I want to change my directory to current working directory. Instead of typing cwd, you just type period. Period means the current place where you reside in your file system structure. So now the next one I'm going to be doing is the parent directory, or the place where I'm going to be going after this. So I'm going to change my directory by pressing 2 dots here, and I am now one folder up. So for example, in Windows, we have C users, and then your username, let's say it's Jeff, and then you have media files or documents, my photos, whatever. In this case, we're going back. Instead of being in C users, Mike or Jeff, you're going to be going back one. That is what these 2 dots symbolize, is going back a directory. So yeah, that's just another command in order to do that. Next, I'd like to do what would be the previous directory. Let's say I'm in a directory like totally whack, so I'm going to change my directory to something else. So I'm going to change it to cd/etc. / yeah, that's good. So I'm changing where I'm at right now to a place called etc. But let's say, okay, so how did I get there? How do I go back to where I was before, the previous place that I was residing in the file structure? All you would type at this point would be just a dash. So you would change directory to dash. Dash means the previous place where you once were before you moved directories. So now that I typed that in, I am back now at RHA where I was before. So I'm going to change my directory to home again by doing change directory and this little squiggly line right now, tilde. This represents home. No matter what, wherever you're working Linux, if you use this command followed by next folders, is in reference to the home folder, which is it would be in this case in this case is it would be this. So I first type in cd and then tilde to go back to my home folder, and then do present working directory, and that tells me I am in this is the root, home, RHA, Aaron and Shag, which is my home folder. So next, I want to talk about making dummy files. In order to make a dummy file, there is a thing you can do. It's kind of like prodding or testing things out. It's the command called touch. Now what touch does just makes an empty dummy file for whatever purpose. Most people make dummy files to check and see if they have read or write permissions, or if they have the ability to make or create or delete a file in a specific area. So what I'm going to do is this is an example. I'm going to touch or create a file called file. And now I'm going to look and see if the file exists. Let me do something with a Z because the font is so huge on here. Let's see here. Looks like we do have a file, and it exists, and it's empty. Alright, so that's cool. At least we know that we do have a file in this area. So great, I created a blank file. All that does now is it shows me that I can write into this area, that I can create a file in this area. But let's say I want to create a file in a different area. I'm going to just change to a different place near root, and I'm going to go, let's see if I can write a file in sbin. So I'm going to change my directory to sbin. Alright, let's see if I can touch file here. Nope, I can't touch a file here because, or create a file here, because it is denied. You are not allowed to make files in specific areas. There are certain parts of Linux which are cut off from you to be able to make changes to, so you don't make mistakes or screw up the operating system, screw up everything from working properly. And so touch is just basically a way to make a dummy file or test something out, but also to see if you can read or write in a specific area. So I'm going to go back to my home directory again. We're going to change directory back to tilde home, and I'm going to make a file and copy that file to a different place. So I remember I made a directory called sauce earlier. So I'm going to take a file and copy it and move it into sauce. So let's say, let's make a file. So I'm going to touch Blueberry. Now I have a file called Blueberry within my home folder. Now I'm going to move Blueberry by doing cp, which is shortened for copy, and Blueberry, and then I'm going to move it into sauce. Okay, so now we have copied Blueberry, the file Blueberry, into the directory sauce. So at this point I'm going to go into the directory sauce and see if Blueberry is in there. So I'm going to change directory to sauce, And now I'm going to go do, and now I'm going to do, change it to Blueberry. See, I'm sorry, I'm going to see if Blueberry resides as the file within the directory or the file sauce. So here we go. So now I'm in sauce. Let's check if Blueberry is here. It appears that Blueberry is in here. So we were able to actually take one file, copy it, and move it to a different area. Now let's say I want to move a file. Instead, if I want to move or also rename a file, I would use the command MV. MV is obviously stands for move. In order for me to do that, let's move to a different area. Let's go back to my home. CD home again. Now I'm going to move, make a file and move it to a different place. And so instead of doing CP, we're going to do MV. We're going to MV a new file into sauce. So now I'm going to MV hot into sauce. So MV is to move, hot is the name of the file, and sauce is where we're putting it. Oh, it doesn't work. Why? Because we didn't create a file called hot. So now I'm going to create a file called hot, touch hot. Now I'm going to move hot into the directory sauce. There we go. Now let's go into sauce and see if it's in there. It appears that Blueberry is in there and also hot. So we are able to also move a file, not just copy it, but just actually move it from where it's at to a different place. Now the next one I'll probably be talking about is moving the output of what is currently displayed on the screen into a file of some sort. So at this point, let's say I have a long list or a list of all the files within my directory. So I'm going to just do this for an example, ls. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I'm still in sauce. Let me move here. CD home. Now, at this point, I'm going to generate some stuff. Let's see here. ls. That's going to show me all the stuff that is currently within my home directory. I have a bunch of crap in there, and maybe I just need to like organize and go through it, but I don't want to go through all the files. I just want to go through maybe a text file that has all the directories, and so I know what to organize and what to get rid of. So what I'm going to do now is send the output of ls, or the listing of all this, into a text file. In order for me to do that, I first would do ls, so the output, so the command I just typed, and I'm going to output it into a new file. I'm going to call it ls output.txt. And then once I do that, it moves what is in here into a new file. Now, if I go look at cat, which is concatenized or viewing ls output.txt, it shows me all the files, everything, because it took what I was typing in. It took the it took what I had typed in and put ls and showed me all the files. It took that listing of what I created and put it in a text file. And so basically you can use this to put the contents of standard output, or what you visualize, what you see on the screen, into a new file. The next one I'm going to be doing is removing a directory or removing the contents of a directory. So I think I still have that directory sauce. Let's say I want to remove sauce at this point. I don't think I can to start off with, because you actually need to remove the files within it sometimes. If it's just one file, it'll delete it. But if there's files within that file, you usually can't delete it in Linux. So I'm going to change my directory to home again, just making sure. Now, I'm going to try and remove sauce, that file we made earlier. Oh, it says cannot remove sauce because it's a directory. So, in order for me to remove the whole thing, I would do rm-r. R is in reference to removing a directory, but also this R represents recursive, meaning everything else within that directory. So I'm going to try that, rm-r sauce, and it appears that it worked, and so sauce is now no more. Neither is blueberry nor hot. The two files within sauce, they're gone. Now, rm can also be used not just for a directory, but simple files. So let's say I did have a lot of junk in my home folder. Let's get rid of a file and see what happens. So I'm going to ls, or list the files that I have. I don't know what this xxxn file is. It looks completely useless to me. So let's get rid of it. All I have to do would be, I think it might be a directory. We might find out if this is actually a directory or not. rm xxxn. Oh, didn't work. When it's blue, that means it's a directory. So let's remove first third, because that is just a single file because it's black. So I'm going to rm target, remove target, another file, and it's gone. Now, as I did before, I'm going to do rm-r, recursive, deleting the file and the contents within the file, xxxn. Now it worked. So that means I need to delete the file itself and what was in it. That -r is what does the trick. The last thing I'm going to do is show you how, after I've done all these deleting of directories, I'm going to make a directory. I might have already done this before, but I'm going to do it again as a refresher. In order for me to make a directory, I did mkdir. So make directory sauce. Now I just made a folder. That's all it is. So at this point, I hope I've been able to teach you a few Linux commands. There are so many other Linux commands that you can use, but if it gets too difficult or you don't really understand what's going on, let me show you something that might help. So at this point, I'm in the current working directory, and I see that there's a few files in here. The notes, public, sauce, and whatnot. You can also view this in the file manager, the visual file manager, where you can point and click and edit files like this. So right now, to see if I can find where these are at, what I would do is I go to computer, and go to file system, and then let's see where I'm at home. Nope, wouldn't be that one. Let's see here, it would be well, let's look and find out where we're at. This is what this is for, and I'm really tired. It's current working directory. Let's see here. Oops, present working directory. There we go. Home, RHA, Aaron, and Shag. That's where I'm at. Okay. So I'm going to go there with the files. I'm going to go to Home. I'm going to go to RHA. Aaron and Shag. Now that's where all these files are that I'm working with. Now look, see, there's third. There's a few other files. Here's Blueberry. There's some examples of some files that we were working with. Now let's say instead, I create a file right here. I'm going to create a file or a directory. Let's make a directory. That was the last one we did. Make directory. It's going to be called Hello There. Great. Now Hello There should also be in here. Click in here. Do you have a directory called Hello There? Let's see here. Hello There. There it is, right there. So, I mean, it goes to show that whatever you're working with underneath the hood, when you're doing all the typing, it's usually a little bit faster than pointing and clicking. But most of us these days are used to using like the point and click interface. It's a little bit easier to do that, but understanding Linux, these small commands, underneath the hood, understanding how they work is the best and most effective way to be able to navigate the Linux file system faster. Well, I hope you guys learned a lot from this and that this has been a useful tutorial for you. And I will continue to be putting out more of these Linux tutorial videos to be understanding different concepts. So, that's that.